Hey folks, I'm Jody White. I'm here at the final weigh-in of the Rayovac FLW Series Southeast Division event on Lake Guntersville. We're packing up, we're moving on, we're going to Smith Lake next week for the Walmart FLW Tour. But right now, I'm joined by Jay Kendrick. He caught a gigantic bag, topped 80 pounds for the win. Jay, you had a really unique pattern going on, and one of the coolest things about it was how you could tell when a fish was going to bite. Can you just give people an idea of what that was like?
Well, the fish that I had located and tried to target during the tournament were suspended fish, and they were suspended around balls of gizzard shad. And the fish would move. They were on ledges and they would move. The boat was in 30 feet of water most of the time, but I was throwing to 15 feet of water, and the shad would move up on these shallow ledges, and then at times they'd move back off in the deeper water. The idea was to throw the bait out there and let it get down to the level of the gizzard shad, whether they were in 10 feet of water early in the morning or a little bit deeper later on in the day. And I would adjust the weight with the bait to get the bait down to the level where the bass were and the gizzard shad were. But I could reel the swim bait along, and I could feel the gizzard shad bumping my line. And I could tell when a fish was tracking my bait, because the gizzard shad would get so nervous, they'd start banging into my line hard, like a little baby bass kind of pecking at your bait. That's what it felt like. They were hitting my line violently. And the more violent they'd hit my line, it would crescendo to a tempo to where I knew I was about to get bit. And several times I'd tell my co-angler, get the net, because it's about to happen. And they just load up on it. And to catch the fish with this bait, you can't, as soon as you feel the fish bite, you can't set the hook like you do with a jig or a crankbait or something like that. You have to let the bait, you have to let the fish engulf the bait. So I would just keep reeling when I knew the fish was on there, let him load up, and then lay into him, put some pressure on him to set the hook. And the first bite I had this morning at 11 o'clock, I was so nervous. As soon as I felt the fish, I reared back and set the hook, and that fish came up and jumped off, and I estimated it was between 8 and 9 pounds. So after that, my nerves were a little more calm. I knew they were there, and I could feel the gizzard shad every time I would throw, bump my line. Sometimes they were real lazy and lackadaisical and just barely bump my line. And other times it would crescendo. It would start off as a little bump in my line, and then they would violently hit it, and I knew it was about to happen.
So you caught most of your weight today in a very short period of time, and you had a huge bag. What was that half hour, 45 minutes of fishing like, just from a catching fish and knowing that you were all of a sudden in the hunt for the tournament win?
It truly takes nerves of steel to fish that way, and to win a tournament like this, you have to roll the dice, so to speak, from many different perspectives. But one thing I knew is that the quality of fish that I needed was there. Fortunately for me, there was enough 3 and 4 pound fish up in the shallows to keep most of the guys in the tournament busy with that. But if you've not fished Guntersville very much, then you probably don't know that a 3 to 4 pound average is not going to win a tournament. You need those 6 pound fish. And I estimated I need at least a 5 pound average. So I practiced shallow. I spent my whole practice shallow, basically in water 15 feet or less, looking for those big fish that had moved up. I caught a few, but I didn't catch enough to convince me there were numbers of big fish up shallow. So I eliminated that as part of my game plan for the tournament and decided to strictly stay out deep in some areas that I know hold quality fish.
Well, Jay, it seems like it really takes a 30-plus pound bag to win on Guntersville. You obviously did that today. I gotta say, congratulations and best of luck next time.
Thank you so much. Thanks.